Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the Houston Bayou murders. There is a lot of bodies being dumped in the bayous down there. A lot of the cases are unsolved. A lot of the cases have a lot of discrepancies. The medical examiner has made some massive mistakes in examining the bodies, switching bodies, making the wrong reports for the wrong person. So today we're going to delve into that. Stick around and I'll see you in just a moment. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences in Houston, Texas, recently admitted to a clerical error in an autopsy report for a man found in the Buffalo Bayou. The report incorrectly included medical hardware and biometric details from a different body, sparking families of victims to question multiple things in accuracy and transparency of the medical examiner's office in these complex cases. This mix-up occurred during the report editing process, but did not change the pathologist's final conclusion. However, it was heavily compounded public frustration as families of the deceased and community advocates are already demanding answers. Dozens of bodies have been recovered from Houston area bayous over the past few years, with a large number of them ruled as an undetermined cause of death, often due to extensive decomposition from water submersion, right? Although the high volumes of the bayou discoveries initially triggered online speculation about a serial killer, local police and city officials firmly maintain that there is no evidence of such a connected killer. I have a theory about that, as always, attributing to the deaths instead to factors like accidents, personal decisions such as suicide, and issues impacting the homeless population. The specific cases at the center of the medical examiner's mix-up involves Kenneth Cutting Jr., to be exact, a 22-year-old man whose body was recovered from Buffalo Bayou in the summer of 2024. The case of Kenneth Cutting Jr., the disappearance. Cutting went missing in 2024 after a night out with friends at a Pete's Piano Bar in downtown Houston. His body was pulled from the Buffalo Bayou, 3 days later. The autopsy ruling was the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences officially ruled his cause and manner of death as a undetermined death. The Houston Police Department, HPD as we all know, initially closed the case after finding no immediate evidence of foul play. Specifically, errors in the autopsy report of the Cutting family discovered several discrepancies of severe not understanding what was going on. The autopsy documented that they forced medical examiner's office to admit to a clerical error. Now, the wrong medical hardware was number one. The report detailed orthopedic hardware inside Cutting's neck, which he does not have. His family immediately flagged this as impossible because, well, he had never undergone neck surgery. The medical examiner later admitted this line belonged belonged to the autopsy of a completely different person, a body handled right after cutting. Incorrect biometrics was the second. The report incorrectly listed his height as 4 feet 8 inches and his weight was 89 pounds. His family verified that he was actually 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighed around 115 in pounds. Before going missing, the response in backlashes, the medical examiner's office stated that the mix-up occurred purely during the report editing process after the postmortem, which is the exam that was completed. They maintain that the clerical error did not alter the final pathology conclusions or findings. Despite these glaring mistakes, the Houston Police Department informed the family that they would not reopen the case due to the lack of explicit evidence. Now, since the case has been closed by Houston Police Department, the family has reached out to the media describing the discrepancies in the case, how they refused to look at the factual evidence in the case, how his death was undetermined, how the weight was wrong, the biometrics was a mistake, and so on and so forth. Now, when a body is submerged in water for the period of time that the body was in, the body expands with fluid and other things that I'd rather not say here. So the weight of the person would have almost, I don't want to say doubled, but almost in size increased by a lot. Now, the examiner who did the report with all the discrepancies should have been fired immediately. A new test should have been done. The case should have remained open. And this has been an ongoing occurrence. So I do believe there is a serial killer in Houston, Texas, and they're using the Bayous as their dumping grounds. Now, for the families that are having a hard time getting Houston PD to reopen cases, they're using, basic ways of telling people, it was undetermined, or the cause of death is unknown, or it could have been a suicide or a drowning. They don't really know because they're not really caring to check it. A lot of these people are being murdered in ways by gang members, by traffickers, by serial killers. Now, Houston, Texas, if you do your research, is loaded with serial killers. It's probably one of the most highly active places for serial killers, next to Arizona. And the family has reached out to the media to get the public's attention on all the discrepancies and how Houston PD does not want to reopen cases. And I want you to think about that. Why not? Why don't you want to reopen cases? And to make such poor clinical errors in major cases like that, that should tell you the very poor, professionalism that is in Texas. The amount of deaths has doubled since the Bayous was brought up in the news. And there's one girl particularly that I worked on for the Bayou murders. And all this stuff, is either connected or not connected. But this young man, he was with 2 people and they had a cell phone. And the family brought up all the evidentiary value of what had happened the night before or the week prior to, how he was reaching out and wanting his family to get involved. But the police refused to hear the story of the family. So I think working in that case, there's going to be a lot of things that come out in the Bayou murders. So we got a lot of work to do when the police and the the examiners are not doing their jobs. And the fact that you mix up bodies and you just give it back to the family thinking they weren't going to know, it kind of boggles my mind that this person, this examiner, was not fired. So be aware of just medical records, knowing your family's history, because if something like that does occur, you want to be able to dispute the findings. You want to, okay, I know my such and such never had just example of what we're talking about right here, right now. So for that reason, I guess I would tell you guys to look up the Bayou murders. Look how many discrepancies there are in the medical examiner reports, and how Houston PD does not care to reopen a lot of these cases. Why? Think about that. There's either connection in the Houston PD, or they just don't care about these people. Okay? So everybody, please watch your six, stay safe, and keep doing what you do.